about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Daliah, 1-877-DOCDALI. So last week we spoke about this large Saharan dust cloud coming Florida's way. So Florida is on alert. Air quality is going to suffer. This is a mammoth cloud of Saharan dust being reported by New York Post. It is roughly the size of the continental United States. This is Saharan dust pushing across the Atlantic, coming to the Caribbean, and then Florida. It is expected to smother parts of Florida in a rusty haze this week. Now, the skies might look pretty, exquisite, but the air quality will stink. They say this is a gift from North Africa. It has already blanketed the Caribbean, and now it's going to be Florida's turn to breathe it in. According to Jason Dunyan, a meteorologist who monitors hurricanes and Saharan dust, he said it's the biggest one we've had so far this season. He likened the thickened layer to London fog, like a London fog, but with a brilliant orange glow. So this is traveling 5,000 miles transatlantic. It will hit Florida to Texas. It's going to dissipate a good amount, but still, there could be a spike in allergy attacks, very muggy heat, and they say the dusty invasion might look apocalyptic, but this happens pretty often. We do have Saharan dust blow our way. That's not a unique phenomenon. It's just this is a lot. This is a larger amount. I don't know if it's the largest to ever hit us, but they say between mid-June and late July, massive waves of superheated air over the Sahara launch these particles sky high. The winds from the African easterly jet blast them to the west. It actually has its own name, according to Fox 35. It's called the Saharan Air Layer. It's also going to hit South America. They said it's like a rinse and repeat each year. It's part of a normal cycle of Earth's oscillations. That's according to Sammy Hadi, a meteorologist at National Weather Service in Miami. So the Saharan air layer will weaken air quality. For those of you that have asthma, breathing issues, COPD, you might want to get out of Dodge for the next couple weeks. For those of you going to Sicily, I have friends going to Sicily. I have some former students going to Sicily. Mount Etna erupting is definitely affecting the air quality. It should be better by this weekend unless more eruptions happen. But volcanic ash, Saharan dust, wildfire smoke from Canada hitting our northern states. This is all definitely messing with our air quality. In fact, we're being told that hundreds of thousands of residents in the northern United States are being told to stay indoors because of the dangerous air pollution levels. This is according to Newsweek. Swaths of Minnesota, Iowa, and Wisconsin are going to be affected by poor air quality. Even Minneapolis has one of the most severe warnings. Smoke from wildfires combined with current weather conditions have contributed to major air pollution. So if, children, adults with respiratory issues, older adults, not good. Minnesota, I believe, has had some of their own wildfires this week. So that has also, added, fuel to the fire. So the U.S. EPA Air Now map offers a real-time snapshot of air quality, and it shows where air pollution levels are and what the levels look like. Minnesota cities facing a red warning include Rochester, Wilmar, and Duluth. So red warnings mean that some members of the general public may experience health effects. Red is usually the more, worrisome color, obviously. So I would, again, if you could get out of Dodge, get out of Dodge. If not, obviously having air filters in the house. Try to keep your doors closed. It's not easy. In Wisconsin, they also have red warnings. This unhealthy air that we get from other people really drives, us mad. I do my best to make sure that we are polluting the air. We're trying not to smoke. The whole narrative was, when the world was anti-smokers, especially this country, was anti-tobacco. It was, you're polluting the air. You're hurting us. You're hurting us. And then as it pertains to climate change, you're doing this. It's your car that's polluting the air. You aren't switching to electric vehicles. This is you. This is you. And so when it's not you, and it's another phenomenon, it's frustrating, because you're like, well, who do I blame? Who do I blame for this? Okay, it's nature. It's a part of climate. These things happen. Are we making more dust? Yes. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada, and we do construction every single day, 24 hours a day. I mean, there's always dust being blown up, and but it's once we build, we eliminate a lot of the dust, right? Because we get that dust out of there and dirt out of there to build our homes. But the idea of what do we do for control? How can we control the air we breathe? You can't just give people advice saying, well, move. Air quality can be bad anywhere you live. I mean, if you're up in the mountains and the trees, that's beautiful. But what if there's a wildfire? So, all you can do is the best you can. Now, we want to make sure we don't do stupid. We want to make sure we don't have oil spills. We want to make sure we don't have people purposely, setting, parts of California on fire. We want to do our best to stop crime. But, maybe we need to kind of take a step back, and rather than pointing fingers and playing the blame game, look at things we could do to help improve our ability to breathe. Do we have masks? Do we have oxygen, plenty of oxygen if people need to breathe clearer oxygen? Do we have better filters? Are we working on that? I know some companies are, but, while the messaging is all blame, 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 I think there's a lot of things we need to do preventatively, just like what happened after Hurricane Katrina. They fixed the levees. We had a very poor levee system in New Orleans. It caused horrible billions of dollars of devastating damage and loss of lives in Louisiana during Hurricane Katrina. And now they improved it such that, there's less than, morbidity and mortality and destruction. So we, after everybody's done pointing fingers, let's get to work. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Dr. Daliah here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Hot Shot Secret Stiction Eliminator.
Stiction, that sticky friction, undermines the performance of diesel engines. Third-party ASTM testing verifies that Stiction Eliminator removes 2 times as much stiction than any alternative on the retail shelf. Stiction Eliminator is formulated to be left in the engine oil. It works as you drive.
Available at truck stops, Tractor Supply, O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and online at HotShotSecret.com. Hot Shot Secret. Powered by science.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to TotalWellness.com. Supplements made for physicians, only now available to you too. TotalWellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to you all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube. Click like and subscribe. So imagine driving to a friend's house or driving from a friend's house behind the wheel, stopping at a stoplight like you're supposed to, and then somebody gunning you down and killing you randomly. That's what happened to Larisha Sherelle Thompson, 40 years old, who died in North Carolina on May 2nd, about an hour south of Charlotte. And on May 12th, authorities announced the arrests of migrants who were charged with Thompson's death, including Asael Aminadas Torres Chirinos, 21 years old, Jarby Ardon Ramos Odari, 18, Jason Sobiev Pineda Salgado, 17, as well as 3 juveniles who were 13 years old, 14 years old, and 15 years old. 6th Circuit Deputy Solicitor Melissa McGinnis, according to Fox News, said all 6 suspects charged admitting to robbing a car during a May 14th hearing. And in text messages allegedly exchanged between the suspects after Thompson's murder, they apparently used phrases like mission fail. And this is just the beginning, which means they were planning on doing more horrific attacks. So South Carolina Attorney General Charlie Condon told Fox News Digital that the text messages that have been cited in open court show a complete lack of remorse by the defendants. So the evidence indicates clearly a premeditated plan. Then after the murder is accomplished, there's just no remorse whatsoever, any regret expressed by any of them for murdering an innocent lady. Now, they are innocent until proven guilty, according to Condom, but they say it's really hard to understand how a human could do that to another human. And how, it's also hard to understand how we let these individuals in to America. So authorities are going to prosecute to the highest extent that they can. But, innocent people just, and this whole idea of stoplights, I told the kids, I go, look, you got to follow the traffic laws. But if you feel you're in danger, you drive, baby, drive. And unfortunately, we're victims. And these assailants and these criminals know exactly we're victims. There was, I think, in Florida, was it last year, where somebody, broad daylight, was at a stoplight when they got attacked. I don't want people afraid to drive and going out there, but these people are on a corner watching, waiting, hunting. And while hunters might wait for a deer to come up to a lake to drink, these people are waiting for us to come up to a stoplight. What, for a purse? For a wallet? This is disgusting. And what's even more disgusting is that we didn't vet people coming into this country. The horrible, horrific murder of Jocelyn Nungare. She, I believe, 13 years old. This happened, I believe, last year, where she was 12-year-old. She was murdered June of 2024. She was sexually assaulted, strangled, and then left her body tied up in the bayou in Houston. We're being told that the 2 Venezuelan illegal immigrants may have ties to Tren de Aragua. Franklin Jose Peña Ramos and Johan Jose Rangel Martinez, 21 years old and 26 years old, charged with the murder. We're being told that they allegedly were involved in a prior sexual assault in Costa Rica involving an American woman who was on vacation at the time. We have let criminals in. And what have they done? They've murdered, raped and I'm not saying all immigrants are criminals. We have some real good people seeking asylum, people trying to start a new life, a new home for their kids. I'm a daughter of an immigrant who learned the language, took the citizenship classes, became a citizen, and then married my mom. After all that, I think met my mom after. We have good people coming to America because we are built on immigrants. But what happened the last few years have let horrible lapses in security happen, such that Tren de Aragua, other migrants or immigrants who had criminal pasts, who were probably fleeing persecution there, got to walk right across the border. No papers, nothing. And now we have Trump trying, and ICE and Holman and everybody, Kristi Noem, trying to find these people before they could do more murders or shoot or hurt more innocent people. And it's disgusting, people will argue with me online saying, more crimes happen by American citizens and illegal immigrants. Well, duh. We have more American citizens and illegal immigrants. You're not making, a really valid argument, because the whole argument is about, we don't want any murders. We need to stop every single murder. We need to prevent every single crime. That's our goal. And say, well, you know what? We're just going to look at the American citizens because they do more of them. You look at everybody. We try to prevent it all. Okay? Don't be telling me, well, there's a subset of Tren de Aragua. There's not a lot of them. We don't want them here. We don't want any murders. We don't want any crime. And one thing about criminals is, if you really want to look at statistics, criminals, especially who do violent crimes like murder and rape, are more likely to commit them again than a non-criminal. So let's look at criminals. And if they were not vetted and came over, if you have a criminal past, if you raped an American, we're not going to let you into this country. Biden did. It's a vote. Or whoever was running the auto pen did. All of these murders and deaths are on him. And it's horrible, it's horrific, and I can't believe it's happening. Now, people can say, yeah, but Daliah, what if the murder that was happening now, like what happened with the South Carolina woman? Well, that's, look, this isn't about the blame game. We need to, the reason why we blame is because we want to make sure that doesn't happen again. Whoever becomes the next president after Trump, if they open up that border, they need to know that there is going to be hell to pay if anybody dies or gets raped or killed or strangled or thrown in a bayou because they didn't do their job on the border and provide national security. When we pay taxes, when we become Americans, okay, we are, one, assisting international security, and we are hoping that our government does their job for national security. And when they don't, they need to get fired, and fired fast. And so, now Trump looks like the bad guy because he has to do the deporting. The problem is how do you prevent a crime? We don't want to deport innocent people. But if they came here illegally and they didn't do their court dates and they didn't follow the laws, well, then they're not, on the pathway to legal citizenship. I mean, if we're letting in students who are spewing anti-Semitic rhetoric and not allowing students to go into the library to get their car keys to go to class, you don't belong in this country. You could be, every time I go to another country, I will above and beyond make sure I'm following the laws. I'm going to be courteous. I'm going to tip extra. I'm going to make sure, I even make my bed. I'm like, I want to make sure that I do no harm, and that I was a pleasure to have in their country. If not, you get kicked out. Every other country does that. But sadly, this is where we are. And people apparently, the demand for CCWs, the demand for bullets, the demand for people wanting to protect themselves is skyrocketing. Do you blame them? You're in your car. Somebody comes up to you. How do you protect yourself? I mean, if you feel accosted, you get the hell out of there. Drive, baby, drive. But you shouldn't feel that unsafe. You should be able to go to a friend's. You should be able to stop at a stoplight, follow the traffic laws without being killed. But that's not the world Biden gave us. 1-877-Doc-Dali.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
in many states, the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts. Due to a cleaner burn, there are less hydrocarbons and particulate matter in your exhaust. This reduces the blockage of your diesel particulate filter. Using Diesel Extreme generates 83% less DPF regenerations. The 6-in-1 Diesel Extreme formula also includes the most concentrated detergent on the market, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Doc-Dali, 1-877-DOCDALI. So most of us were just at another graduation. And every December, every May, although some schools that have trimesters, we see thousands upon thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of students graduate. And every year I look at all the graduates. And the feeling I get, beyond the pride, beyond the happiness for them, is there's an awful lot of them. Are they all going to get the jobs they want? And for those of you who have any relatives or friends that have Gen Zs or younger millennials in the family, you are watching them really struggle. Because many of them have a degree or they have a career goal and they're not making it. They're living at home. They're struggling. They feel lost. And I am seeing this time and time again. And I feel really, really bad because their whole outlook, their whole economic landscape is way different than what I had. Me, all I had to do, which was a lot, was support myself, work multiple part-time jobs, waiting tables, tutoring, doing everything I did, get myself through school, get the degree, and I could have my job. And it's not that easy, even though that wasn't easy. People are getting their degree, but then what? There's no jobs. There are jobs out there, but not the jobs that they want. Every year I hear with the match for medical school that there were, hundreds or thousands of medical students not matching because there wasn't a residency program. Why the hell do we have more medical students than residency programs? So now you have people who are $500,000 in debt with no residency to go into? It's ridiculous. So we're graduating too many people. We learned in academia how to attract you, get your money, get you to sign up for classes. Okay, you know what? We got so many students. We'll just make more classrooms. We'll hire another teacher. We'll do online. Let's bring in the bucks. And so anybody who becomes a student is thinking to themselves, well, I'm going to become a lawyer. Well, I'm going to become a doctor, or I'm going to become, this marketing executive or this Wall Street guru. And then they remember there was an attorney. This was, I think about maybe 8-9 years ago. who couldn't get a job after leaving law school that they ended up suing the law school because they said the law school did false advertising. They claim that if you go to their law school, you'll be placed in a job. And they couldn't find a job. So they ended up suing the school, all dressed up and ready to. I mean, if you're a lawyer and you're teaching students how to sue and they don't have a job, then they're going to sue you. That's what you train them to do. Now, you can make it. But boy, you are going to not only have to have the credentials and have the drive and have the effort, but you're going to have the cunning. You're also going to have to be okay with failure, which we have not taught our kids. Somehow in the last 10, 15 years, everybody got an award for showing up. And now in school, people aren't even getting Fs. It's, you know what? It's okay. You were born this way, or you were, society is working against you, so don't worry. Yeah, and we'll pass you anyway. Okay, if you fail, retake it, relearn it. How did I fail? Fix it. When you fall off a bike, you don't get an award. You won't learn how to ride that bike. You're going to have to get back on that bike, and you're going to have to practice so you can ride again. Swimming. I mean, it took me a while, but I learned how to swim. But there's a process. And we haven't taught these kids how to do that process. But they're also getting more Fs. When these people apply online, I learned how to pavement pound. That's how I got jobs. I just walked in. I pavement pounded. Walking down the pavement, going in saying, are you hiring? Are you hiring? Here's my resume. Let me introduce myself. The hiring manager was there. I met the hiring manager. Well, that worked for Gen X like me. That might have worked for the baby boomers. But when I had my Gen Z son do that, they were like, no, just go apply online. They don't want to be bothered. Every job, they're like, go apply online. But when you apply online, you're just a digital piece of paper. Well, you're a digital screen. And so people don't know how to stand out. Okay, well, they could do a startup. Well, what's everybody doing for these startups? People ask me, well, how do I do a startup? Well, it looks like a lot of them are doing apps. Everybody's doing an app. People have told me, Dr. Daliah, you need to come up with an app. You need to make an app. There's too many apps. Oh, there are apps. Now, the business model for this app issue is you make an app that somebody rich will want, and then they buy it from you. See, people want to do what like Mark Zuckerberg did, or where okay, I'm going to make a platform, and then you buy that from me. Okay, well, there's only so many Jack Dorseys with Twitter, or Elon Musk's, or Mark Zuckerberg's, or maybe you will make the next Facebook, and all the power to you. But only one of you could do that, or maybe two of you could do that. What do the other millions do? And if these individuals can't get jobs, and they're living at home, then where's their tax dollars? What's going to happen to Social Security? What's going to happen to Medicare? The reason why we have these in place is because the younger generation is working and paying taxes. By the time I need Social Security, I'm really scared because we don't have enough people putting money into the system. And in fact, we have millions upon millions taking money out. Why do you think the GOP wants work requirements for Medicaid recipients? Medicare recipients are the ones who might have physical disabilities or are older, but Medicaid are able-bodied, most of them. So they want those who are able-bodied without kids at home to at least work part-time if they're going to get some benefits. But we have incentivized people to not work, to make them go and work. And the reason why they're saying childless is because an argument people have is daycare is too expensive. So they'll be in the hole going back to work. So it's cheaper for them to stay home and just get, help. We don't have enough money to take care of people. And now I am seeing young, strapping, strong, eager, young individuals jobless. 21-year-olds, 25-year-olds, 28-year-olds. These are the people that should be taking the world by storm. And they can't. The opportunities aren't there. They get passed over. The job could barely afford them. The money isn't enough for them to live on. It's a mess. And I don't know how to fix it. We let things skyrocket in price after COVID. We tried to raise wages, but the more you raise the wages, the more people can't pay you. So now there's less hiring, fewer hiring. Now companies are trying to automate as quickly as possible so they don't have to spend. Every McDonald's I walk into is just kiosks, so they could get rid of all their $20 an hour workers, because now the minimum wage went up to $20 an hour in California for fast food. So what you're seeing is a real dearth of opportunities for people to at least get their feet wet, learn about business, and it's easier for them and it's more lucrative for them to not work and stay at home. This is crushing. Our younger people should be out there doing things. Now, we do have a lot of young people that are taking the world by storm. But these people who want to take the world by storm and they want to reach their goals, they're being sidelined. Because the way the system is, it's a mess. And this is crushing. It's crushing to them from a mental health perspective. It's going to be crushing to us from an economic perspective. So we need to figure out what to do, and fast. 1-877 Doc Daliah. Guys, Dr. Daliah here. Addictions can sneak up on us and come in many forms, whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, video games, porn, or something less obvious such as food, internet, or shopping. Addiction can seem innocent at first and then evolve into an insurmountable evil. In our book, Addiction Basics, Caitlin Kalikas and I dive into the common addictions and provide tips for identifying and preventing these before they sneak in and take over our lives. Addiction Basics can be found on Amazon or my website, drdaliah.com. Check it out.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
Product claims without proof.
every trucker on the road has heard product claims about an additive that simply didn't match their experience. Proof is found from third-party testing by a recognized, credible source. That's proof. Hot Shot Secret Stiction Eliminator will improve your performance and fuel economy. For proof, we engaged the Ohio State University Center of Automotive Research to conduct an EPA-certified fuel economy test with Stiction Eliminator on a FedEx truck, a 2006 P500 Freightliner with 247,000 miles. The test showed a 3.6% increase in highway driving fuel economy from Stiction Eliminator, an oil additive. The complete report from OSU is available for download at hotshotsecret.com. That's proof.
Hot Shot Secret Stiction Eliminator, available at truck stops, Tractor Supply, O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Daliah, 1-877 DOCDALI. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So I'm looking right now at a 200-year-old condom that is being displayed in the Netherlands National Museum. Now, I love antiques. I love medical antiques. And so the concept of a 200-year-old condom is fascinating to me. You know, I just, did I tell you this? I just saw the 1930s version of All Quiet on the Western Front. And I loved it. My husband said, oh, yeah, there's a new All Quiet on the Western Front movie. I think it came out in 2022. And I'm like, when was the original? And I saw that there's a 1930s original. And so I look and I'm like, I think I want to see that one because that was made 12 years after, or it was released 12 years after World War I. And I think it would be a lot more authentic. Now, I understand that, some of the dialogue might be corny, things like that, but I got to tell you, that's my favorite war movie. I understand, Saving Private Ryan is everybody's favorite war movie, and that's a good movie. Saving Private Ryan was fantastic. I mean, especially the opening scene, but there's something about seeing something in the same era, like you see a biplane in the movie. And remember, this movie was made in the 1920s to be released in the 1930s. So you're not getting CGI. You were getting, creative filming and maybe mirrors and, and other imagery and things like that. But this wasn't a movie made in, 2025 using, 2025 leather to make it look like leather from, over 100 years old. You got to see pretty close to the uniforms and everything that were used back then. I honestly, I love time capsules, that type of thing. I really felt like I was in a time capsule. And by the way, the movie was fantastic. I think it won an Oscar. The Oscar started in 1929, and this movie in 1930 got an Oscar for, I think, Best Movie and Best Director. The story was fantastic. It was written, the All Quiet on the Western Front was written by, I believe, a German, talking about the plight of the soldiers and what life was like, on the Western Front, what it was like for soldiers. And you follow a group of soldiers and what happens to them in World War One. Most of you already know the story, but I had heard about it. I just had never seen an All Quiet on the Western Front, and so I saw the 1930 version, which is, I think, available on Prime Video. It was fantastic, just fantastic. And remember, this predates Gone with the Wind and Wizard of Oz. People think Gone with the Wind was the first movie to make an Oscar, to be Oscar awarded. No, there were movies preceding that. One such movie was this one. And the authenticity blew my mind. Another thing, too, is Hollywood needs to, learn something from these movies where it wasn't all about CGI and green screens and AI written script. I mean, this was just, there was so much quality to the acting, to the, special effects. Blew my mind. So for those of you who really want to see a good movie, maybe go back. And I'm going to start seeing some of the older movies. I never went to see the older movies because I remember my grandparents doing that. Oh, this was a good movie. This is a good movie. I go, it's boring. It's black and white. Now I kind of like watching those. I do, because I really like the the time capsule aspect of it. But going back to this is a condom that I guess the Rijksmuseum. I wonder if I was at Rijksmuseum. I was in a museum in the Netherlands, but it was a scientific museum, so I don't think I was in this one. And they believe it was made in 1830 from a sheep's appendix. Remember we talked about the different things they would use to make condoms? So old type condoms, they would use tortoise shells, sheep intestine, animal bladders, horns. They used horns. That had to have been painful. Silk, even gold they would use. Because of the 16th century, you had STDs, syphilis being spread. So I believe Gabriele Falloppio, the same Falloppio that came up with fallopian tubes, devised a linen sheath to be tied to the penis. When tested on 1,100 men, none contracted syphilis. So Gabriele Falloppio, also known for fallopian tubes, was known as the inventor of the more recently used condom type, but he wasn't the first one to discover a condom. Later, we used animal skin, but people said that the condom would keep falling off. So when Charles Goodyear patented the vulcanization of rubber, That was back when they created probably the closest thing to the rubbers or condoms we use today. And that was created in 1855. Now, vulcanization is the heating of rubber with chemicals such as sulfur to make it stronger and more elastic. By the 1950s, Durex added lubrication to the condom, and by the 1980s, they added spermicidal gel, although non-oxynol 9 could cause some women to have UTIs or UTI-type feelings. So spermicidal jelly has gone through some changes, but the condom of today has gone through a bunch of different, shall we say, evolutions. And so this is really interesting to see something from the 1830s. But what's even more interesting is it was decorated and had art on it. It features which is sinful, a semi-naked nun and 3 clergymen. Now, not exactly sure if that was supposed to be an image of rape, if it was supposed to be an image of sin, but apparently that's the image on the prophylactic. And according to the museum, they said in a statement, it depicts both the playful and the serious side of sexual health. So it's a part of an exhibition called Safe Sex, about 19th century sex work, that opened on Tuesday. The condom is 20 centimeters. It's a souvenir, they believe, from a brothel, and it is decorated with this erotic image of a nun and 3 clergymen. And the phrase, "This is my choice," is written along the sheath in French, according to the museum, which is in reference to the Pierre-Auguste Renoir painting, The Judgment of Paris. I guess that depicts a Greek myth in which a Trojan prince is asked to judge a beauty contest between 3 goddesses. So seeing this is very, unique. They believe the prophylactic would have probably been owned by somebody high-ranking member in society, somebody with money, because it's more sophisticated, has art on it, although I don't think they were reusable. I think it was purchased for $1,000? No, this had to have been worth more. They said it was purchased for about £1,000 at an auction in Harlem last November. 840 euros. Or 1,000 euros, 840 pounds. That's crazy. I think it's worth more. I've spent more on medical antiques. But, they use tortoise shells, animal all these different things. So be very, very lucky that, the vulcanization of rubber occurred. And, now we have condoms that are a little bit more easy to wear. But, fascinating to see something like that. And who knew that they would actually decorate it? 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Don't go away.
Did you know that healthy arteries make a gas? Yes, actually 3 known gases. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch, and nitric oxide is a gas that's readily made all day long to keep our arteries open by relaxing the blood vessel walls. By doing this, our circulation is increased, bringing blood, oxygen, and nutrients to every part of your body. Both age and poor diet can lead to a loss of this precious gas, and in turn, blood pressure can go up, energy can go down, and you can get tingling in your hands and feet. Well, our product, Ultimate Nitric Oxide, can easily help fix this lack of nitric oxide. Go to TotalWellness.com. That's TotalWellness.com, where we are helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.